Hey, this is Benjamin Nelson, your Season 7 WSSR Cup champion. I'd like to give a thanks to Roasty Jim's Coffee, Trophy Smack, all the admins at WSSR, Snowy Desert Racing, everybody that tunes in to the Freaky Fast broadcast every week, including my family and friends, co-workers as well. And I am so honored to be able to hoist this beautiful trophy. I've never been more proud to be a champion.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. First off, want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays here from Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Should be a good one here tonight. The drivers are ready for the holiday season as they come to conquer the left and right course of Watkins Glen. Everyone knows it's time to put up a great run here this evening. The fourth race of the season, the marking point of us hitting the quarter marker of the regular season, and they know it is crunch time. If you haven't ran well, you got to start hitting your marks, and we cannot wait to give you all the action here at Watkins Glen for the running for Rudolph 98. They know it's going to be a good one. We're excited for it as well, as tonight on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we give you the road course racing. My name is Sam Geyer. With me is going to be Justin Malarkey. Justin just came off of a very tough race last week at New Hampshire, where the drivers had over 17 cautions. We got to see Shane Kieran getting his victory. Well, from a short track road course, and these drivers have a completely different way they've got to handle this course here tonight.
Yes, we've had 4 unique races coming up here for all the viewers. Tonight, going to be no cautions. It's going to be a straight race. Last week we had those 17 cautions that you mentioned. Tonight's going to be about staying on track. You get off track, it's going to be really hard to make up any amount of time there, Sam.
And tonight's race going to be a little bit under 2.5 miles in distance, but staying on track going to be a key factor. Drivers are currently underway with practice, but qualifying could be a key factor on who can be up front. Track position going to be highly important, as tonight's race will be 40 laps in total. But the one interesting thing when we come to road courses, there will be no comp yellow. We will be going green all the way through unless there is a major wreck that completely covers and has basically the field at a gridlock. That will be the only reason that we would have to throw a yellow flag. But if there isn't a gridlock wreck, then we stay green for 40 laps. Should be a quick race this evening. They've got also 5 extra sets of tires in pit road. What ultimate time that drivers are expecting here is going to be a 1 pit stop strategy. But qualifying drivers also a little bit different. 10 minutes to put down their fastest time because the track is so long. Drivers are given the maximum amount of time to put down their fastest lap. But Justin, staying on track, it's important for the race, but even more important for qualifying.
Yeah, you do not want to risk having a chance starting back in 15th, 20th, 30th. How are you going to make up those positions? We mentioned there's not going to be any cautions. You're going to have to do it under strategy if you do not get a lap down in the top 5 or 10 positions. I love that we mentioned that we have the 10-minute clock tonight. That's going to allow some of these drivers some extra practice, maybe get the car dialed in. Some drivers might choose to watch the weather. What do you think, Sam? Get a little cloud cover, maybe pick up a 10th or 2 on track. We see right now we got 16 out here on qualifying, getting ready to turn the lap, just warming up his tires right now, getting ready to come to the first lap, and we do have the 98. Looks like he may be potentially spun out there.
Spun out, trouble there for Ben Keeney, who's going to be getting back out on the track. Again, 10 minutes. If you make a mistake, you still need to get out there. Like you said, weather going to be an important factor to watch out for qualifying. Want to make sure the track temp as cool as it can be so you have the maximum amount of grip. This track already going to be pretty cool for qualifying. But drivers done with their warm-up lap, it's time to giddy up and go as the 29 of Anthony Gaudio going to be starting his first lap. Again, these drivers have 2 laps to work with, but it's the Christmas season. Drivers are going to be having next week off for the holidays as they've got Christmas off as well as New Year's. And for Anthony Gaudio, one of many drivers tonight, rocking a Christmas-themed vehicle, but through one of the toughest aspects of tonight's course, through the S's, very light is the 29. But Justin, after you're done with the S's, it doesn't get any easier as they roar down the backstretch.
Oh, it does not. You're going to reach speeds of 130, 140, potentially up in the 150 range and get heavy on the brakes as we see Anthony Gaudio get through these, as the corner we call the bus stop. You see him get off track a little bit there even, Sam, as he heads to the carousel.
And getting off track, you have to be very critical of staying on course. If you go off track, it's called an incident point. You touch the grass, incident point, that invalidates your lap time. You're going to come back again for that second lap. You invalidate both laps. You'll be starting at the end of the line, and your fate's up to what your iRating is for the road courses. And some drivers here tonight have a very low iRating in road coursing compared to their oval iRating. So they could be finding themselves even deeper in the field than where they want to, as Anthony Gaudio off the exit of the final bend on the front stretch. We'll see if his lap time counts. Again, went slightly off the corner on the bus stop and across the line. Doesn't look like Anthony Gaudio's time's going to count there. Instead, we're going to be seeing John Forbes, top of the board currently.
Yeah, unfortunately his time's not going to be able to count there, but he will have that second lap, so hopefully he's able to get the car dialed in, get through these corners, no problem. As we see, we're getting ready to go on board here with Cedric Hunter getting down into the turn 1 here. That's a heavy braking part, and it's also going downhill, where these drivers will have to be downshifting from 4th down to 3rd, potentially even down into 2nd. And some drivers may even try to get down in the 1st gear to get that extra speed. But I know me, personally, I was always going to the 2nd.
And drivers, I mean, they're always going to be searching for where they feel the most comfortable. There's the trouble with the S's. Cedric Hunter perfectly showing. You go over the crest, and right when you get to the top of the hill, after the S's are about to be done, the rear end, the whole entire car shifts in weight. Feels like you're on ice skates. And there goes the 13, showing what we could be seeing on lap 1 in multiple times here this evening if drivers are not careful, as we move on over to Ollie Fonseca in the 24 machine, 13th on time. But you have to be careful. You can't go too far outside, as that will count as going off track, going too far out. That can be an advantage that iRacing does not want to give drivers. That 24 could be careful, as Cody Reed, one of the fast top 3 from practice, tops the board now. We're still waiting on some other very quick drivers to top the board. One of them that's out on track, Benjamin Nelson. First lap was invalidated for the 18. We'll see where for the 79, excuse me. We'll see what his second lap's going to look like. Will it count? Cross the line for Benjamin Nelson. This is final lap time, and it's good enough for the pole. It's a 1 minute 11.493 second lap time, but Ryan Kelly stealing it right at the end of his final lap. Shocking speed by some of these drivers, and we still have about half the field still needing to put their time in.
Yeah, we could potentially see someone run down in that 1 minute 10-second bracket, as we've seen some of those lap times in practice even pick up. Right now we're on board with Brian Johnson. He's at 40 seconds coming down to the second back straightaway here. That's right, folks. We do have one back straightaway coming out of the S's, and we got a second one here coming out of Carousel. We got long straightaways, multiple turns. We're going to be going left, right all night. It's going to be a great race. 40 laps coming up really soon here. We're under 5 minutes in qualifying. And Ryan Kelly, now Zachary Hall takes the top spot at a 1:11.296.
Zach Hall finished second last season at the one road course at Sonoma. Not the strongest Watkins Glen runner, but hey, shockingly great speed after qualifying, as Brian P. Johnson going to get some of that practice time in. Not fast enough to advance forward. Larry Yingling, the 3-time champ, at 67. First lap going to be crossing the line, hoping to find some good speed, is Larry Yingling, as they're going to be setting up for lap number 2.
Yeah, Larry looked like he had a nice solid entry there. You saw the backfire, him getting out of the gears, downshifting, getting back up through the S's. This is a steep turn. It's almost blinding when you're coming up through these corners. It might not look like it on TV, but when you're inside that car, it's just hard to see exactly what's up there. I mean, you potentially be listening to your spotter and you're hoping the track's clear, because if someone's sitting right there, you might not even see them coming out of the corner. It could cause some damage on your car easily. as we see him getting through the rumble strips here, which could lead to some benefit on the car. When you get in there, Sam, sometimes it helps steer that car a little bit. We notice that some drivers talk about that. They like getting on there. Some of them do not like to. Me personally, it was always a little sketchy going over them. The car gets super bouncy, as you talked about throughout the night here so far.
Oh, even a faster time for Zach Hall, maximizing his speed even more over Ryan Kelly is the 32. As Larry Yingling, actually, this is going to be his first lap that he's going to be finishing here. And let's actually ride on board, get a sense for the 67's cockpit view, and ride for one lap here at Watkins Glen. Lap 1, cross the line for Larry Yingling. He's got to be close inside of the top 10, just outside in 11th, but a hard braking zone down into turn number 1 at the 90-degree first corner. Tough one that they're going to be handling. You see those hands already very active is Larry Yingling. Then up through the S's, Justin, that loose sensation mostly hits right here.
Oh, I love this view right here. We're seeing how hard it is to see coming up over that crest. And right now he's just sawing on that wheel left, right, trying to keep the car. It gets a little loose even right there. That was exciting. It's going to be hard braking right here. You see the downshift, the second downshift. The car gets a little loose under braking. Hitting those rumble strips, getting the car to steer. Coming back out here, it's a constant fight. There's no time to rest here. Even through this carousel, you think it's smooth, it's not. He's going to come out of here. You're going to see him get over these rumble strips most likely. And he's going to actually stay right underneath them. But you hear it. You'll hear it right there. And he's going to upshift, get into fourth, and heavy braking right here, Sam.
Second to last, the corner going to be hit here for Larry Yingling. You're trying to stay down low. Some drivers go wide. Larry staying neat and tidy inside of the white lines. Now into the final corner, Larry's got to get a good exit to maximize his speed. The time's going to be close. Will it be better than his first? 11th on the board on that first lap, and across the line, it's a belt slightly better. And for Larry Yingling, not good enough to advance in positioning as they'll just slam it into the tire barrier after his qualifying's done. But Yingling going to be 11th on the board. There's one final driver that's out there trying to advance in position. It's Douglas Newbigging. Final lap. Douglas's first lap was not eligible, was invalidated. Second lap for Douglas Newbigging. Not any better. Going to be 27th, slowest of anyone that put in a time. Tough for the 7 machine, who's going to be trying to come back after that run these last couple of weeks. The 7's shown a lot of great speed, and we'll see how Douglas wants to advance forward. There are a couple of drivers, though, we have to give note of. Due to qualifying penalties, they are going to be given. Brad Delph as well as Isaiah Sutherland going to be given an L1 penalty after last week, both having ARCA brake penalties. So they were able to qualify, but we'll be starting at the end of the line. Brad Delph volunteering not to qualify. Isaiah Sutherland, on the other hand, did qualify in the middle of the field. We'll see how the 14 drops and moves forward. Also, that of Brian Noel, L1 penalty, attempted intentional wreck coming to the end of the race last week. He'll be starting at the end of the line as well with an L1 end of the line penalty. Also, we have a driver who is suspended. James Kaufman had too many ARCA brake penalties in a row, and on top of that was the cause of 3 or more cautions. That is a 1-race suspension for the 25 and will be on a 3-race probation when he comes back. Tough for those 4 drivers. We'll see how they come back for the 3 that are still racing here tonight, and we'll see Kaufman in 2 weeks when we are back to racing action. As we take a look at the point standings, certainly these drivers showed a lot of speed, but let's, as we take a look at it, I mean, certainly, Justin, we know that there is a lot of action up front, but Brian Johnson, top of the points when we look at the way that he's been running this season. He's finished in the top 10 every race. Same for Douglas Newbigging.
Yeah, you definitely want to have that 7th column have a win in it. There's no better feeling than getting that win, and we see that with 3 different drivers this year. You did mention about some of those guys finishing in the back or having a qualifying in the back due to penalty. I know we mention every week it's hard to pass, but this is a track where it is hard to pass. It's going to be really exciting watching some of these guys trying to make their way up through the field, and with the risk of potentially losing points if they get off course.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very tough for themselves on how do you make the passes, the adjustments. There are, a handful, if not less, positions on where you're going to feel comfortable trying to make some passes. This is where we have a 5-minute warm-up time for these drivers. Just get a little bit more extra time of practice. I think it's going to be very necessary for those that maybe felt like they didn't get enough for themselves. As we have an aerial shot of what Watkins Glen looks like. This is the course. On your left, though, top left. That's what we call the boot. Drivers will not be on that type of the course, but everything else you see where there's pavement will be running there, as tonight's race is going to be 40 laps in length. No competition yellow, going to be a big thing to watch out for. And the pit window. These drivers can go a little bit past halfway, but Justin, I'd imagine a lot of them are thinking about splitting it right down the middle.
Yeah, I would personally think lap 20, get in, get your tires. Tires will definitely matter. Split them perfectly 20-20. That'll take you right to lap 40. You'll be good on fuel. We won't have to worry. Like you said, there could be that potential of a caution if the track was blocked. But I'm thinking if we get through the first couple laps, drivers will be spread out and we should be able to navigate through any potential issues.
As weather conditions for tonight's race, currently on the warm-up time, the drivers are dealing with 72 ambient temperature. That's your air temp, track temp, 76 to 78. Expected to be the window. The drivers are going to be having that temp bouncing back and forth, but it's as high as the 78 currently. Wind, though, really non-existent, very low at 1 degree to 2 degrees so far. We'll see how that changes once we get to race conditions, but I gotta say, Justin, based off what we're seeing on the weather, this is a prime racetrack ready for some great 40 laps of racing action.
Yeah, it is going to be a great night tonight. I'm going to go with the bus stop as being the corner to watch tonight. I think the most action is going to come there with guys getting off track, getting through the bumps. And where are you thinking, Sam? What are you going to...
I mean, I think it's right before the bus stop. The top of the S is going to be a dangerous spot. We saw Cedric Hunter have issues. A couple of other drivers were struggling off that position. I think lap 1, top of the, even in the middle of the bus stop, how are drivers going to react with one another? Have they practiced being side by side? Because the start of this race, I think it's going to be the most dramatic and flared-filled incident, but I think you're not wrong either. The bus stop is also a very scary position to be, to try to finish out a lap if possible here tonight, as drivers' warm-up laps are starting to file in. Because we've got 2 minutes left in warm-ups, we want to give a shout-out to our amazing sponsors here for the WSSR. Crazy to think, last race of 2023, and we have to give a huge shout-out to the amazing sponsors. That of starting off with our title sponsor, being Roasted Gems Coffee. Go get your premium coffee today. Mix of many of different blends of your choosing at roastedgemscoffee.com. Remember to use promo code WSSR for 5% off. And Trophy Smack. Go on and be the envy of your competition with getting your Trophy Smack trophy. I know for fantasy football, it's the end of fantasy football season. It's there in the middle of playoffs. If you haven't gotten your trophy just yet, go get your custom trophy. Trophy Smack, more well known for fantasy football trophies and sporting events. Well, sim racing starting to get involved a lot more as well. If you didn't see stop the broadcast, Benjamin Nelson showing off his championship trophy from last season. Why not go check out what you can find at Trophy Smack? Remember to use promo code WSSR Cup for 10% off at purchase. Thank you so much to everyone who's been a part of this. Justin, we got less than a minute left in qualifying. Who do you think is your choice? I know I kind of made my choice. I think it's going to win tonight's race. But who do you have that might be a favorite to watch out for?
Well, Sam, it's always easy to go with the potential top 2, Tyler Dankler, Cody Reed. But I'm going to go Nick Crawford. We saw him have speed earlier in the season. We saw him get the win. I'm going to go with him in the 3rd spot there. I like that 3rd spot. He's going to see those top 2 battle, and he's going to potentially make a move when they get side by sides at one point throughout the race.
I think Nick Crawford's a great choice. I know he's showing a little bit of speed here for Nick Crawford during the warm-ups. 3rd fastest during actual practice. He was 3rd fastest there as well. Qualifying Crawford a little bit deeper in the field. I think that's a good choice. Watch out, maybe he can change things up. Cody Reed, I think, might be my sleeper pick to watch out for. The 52 has been quick at times, especially here at Watkins Glen, one of his top 3 favorite tracks on iRacing. I think Cody Reed could be someone to watch out for this evening. But everyone also has eyes on the main driver of the night, Benjamin Nelson. He's going to be fast. He's going to be quick. But sadly, he didn't find himself with the pole position. Instead, it's going to be someone else. It's going to be someone different. And let's take a look as the drivers are gritting up of your Collie's Mom qualifying results. Zach Hall taking the top of the board for the 32. Ryan Kelly in the 3, going to be in 2nd. A very different top row than I was expecting to see based off of practice out of this sim and also earlier in the week. But in the second row is where some of the other competition I know where speed can be found is Christopher Norris in 38, Benjamin Nelson in the 79 in the 4th. Cody Reed going to be back in 5th place with Brian P. Johnson in 6th. 7th is where we find Ken Campbell, Kyle Heath in 8th, John Forbes in 9th, and finishing out our top 10, it's the 8 machine of McCann.
Yeah, we're going to roll off 11th, Larry Yingling, who we did ride along with. P12, Isaiah Sutherland. Going off 13th, Ed Shearer Jr., and 14th, Anthony Gaudio. Rolling off 15th is going to be Joshua Kanata. 16th, Ollie Fonseca. P17, Ross Tatum, and 18th, Christopher Wade. Rolling off 19th, going to be Cedric Hunter, who we did see have that trouble, but he was able to at least rebound on lap 2. And rolling off P20th, Nick Crawford, who I did misspoke of, and I thought he was starting 3rd, but I'm still going to roll with my pick, Sam.
It's a good pick. He knows he can be fast on road courses. I like it. 21st, where we find Dakota Moniz. Hope he finds some better luck here this evening. Driver that really doesn't want me to say his name, but the numbers line up. It's 22nd position for the 2 of Danny Cochran. Then back in 23rd, we find Brian Noel, who will be given an EOL penalty, starting at the end of the line for the 77. Mason Cassidy will be in 24th, with Nicholas Corsell going to be in 25th. Tyler Dangler in 26th. 27th, last driver to put down a time, going to be Douglas Newbegin. And drivers that had their fate based off of their I rating, based off the road course, which iRacing helped set up. It's going to be Devin Brock as in 28th. 29th is Johnny Bruggs. Randy Colley back in 30th. Michael Bennett going to be in 31st. Nick Alves in 32nd. Brad Delphi will be given an end-of-the-line penalty for 6th, back in 33rd position. Trevor Earhart back in 34th. And finishing out our 35 drivers here tonight is Ben Keeney, going to be taking off from 35th position. So drivers are going to take a full lap warm-up to get themselves settled in. Justin, 40 laps. Talk about the fact that it's going to be a chaotic first lap to watch out for. When you are going to these races, what is the main thing that your focus is on at least these first handful of laps?
The first handful of laps, I know it's going to sound obvious, but you just want to stay on track and get through without damage. You just want to be able to come out, even if you lose 5 positions, 10 positions, you're going to potentially get them back as drivers are going to come off the course. It's going to happen. You're going to see guys in the top 5 potentially get off course. You're going to see guys with 5 laps to go running top 10 potentially get off course. It happens all the time in these races. The second you touch the grass, you just can't really control the cars anymore, Sam. You get down there, you get on the brakes, you lock them up. Before you know it, you're right into the fence.
Drivers do not want to have that type of an issue pop up. As looking back for the pace car, you can see the field. They're revving. They're ready. We're on the second to last corner. It's almost go time for the run-in for Rudolph 98 here at Watkins Glen. The second race of the season about to be underway for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. As the field gets ready, we're on our feet. Hopefully you are as well. Pace car into pit road, into the restart zone. We're green for Zach Hall, Ryan Kelly as they roar down into turn number 1. The first true challenge of the night. Can you survive the first corner? Hard braking zone as the field goes down in turn number 1. They're 3 wide, deeper in the field, almost 4 wide off the exit of turn 1. Setting up for the S's, where the drivers are going to be feeling that loose sensation. Battling as single filing out. They're trying to get into a better slot, but side by side, back for that of 15th and 20th. That's a danger zone as they crest the top of the hill.
They crest the top of the hill, single file for maybe our first 8 or 10, which is what you want, so you're able to set yourself up for a nice braking point. We're already seeing a little bit of gap out front, getting that clean air on the cars. We're seeing drivers now get through the bus stop here. You do not want to go 2x2 through here. You see most of them being able to do single file as we're going to head through the carousel right here. We're seeing that gap maintain up front.
Gap is maintaining half a second for Zach Hull over Christopher Norris, and Hull continues to try to pull away more and more off the straightaways. Just a much cleaner first lap. Rest of the field, got to give a huge kudos to the rest of them as they survive through the S's. They survive through the bus stop, and lap 1, Zach Hall through the final bend survives the first lap. Give the first lap to Zach Hall. And now it's go time as the rest of the field tries to now mentally set up for the rest of this race. Do you be aggressive early on, protect your tires? Well, they're aggressive for 3rd place. It's Benjamin Nelson over Ryan Kelly.
Yeah, we're seeing already a pass back there. Ryan Kelly able to get through that position. He wants 2nd. He's going to get right up there, going through the S's, going up through the crest. This is the loose part. He's able to navigate it no problem. Getting down perfect. That's exactly how you want to get through that corner. Now we're going to hit for the heavy braking point. We see Zach Hall already gapped to over 1.1 second lead, Sam.
Yeah, it is incredible how Zach is really just hitting his marks. He's got no one in front of him. And oh no, Benjamin Nelson through the grass, has to be careful, might have a slowdown penalty. If you cut the corner, you have to slow down, give up time. And it looks like for Benjamin Nelson, goes extremely wide, trying to give up space and time. And for the 79, one of the favorites coming into tonight, a major mistake in air just on lap 2, and drops all the way down outside of the top 10 in 12th position.
Major mistake. We talked about that. You want to get through these first couple laps, and it even looks like maybe potentially a little bit of kink in the right front fender. It looks like it's just pushed in slightly. Not sure if he did make some contact or if it's just the way the decals are set there, but we see him get loose out of that corner, Sam.
Got loose. That bus stop's so dangerous at times. And drivers also have to be careful. A factor we didn't really touch on with the bus stop is that inside right side wall kind of sticks out a little bit. Drivers are aiming to get as close as they can to get the right entry point and angle through the corners, as it's going to be Edward Sherwood Jr. as well as Benjamin Nelson, 71, going to make the pass for 12th place through the S's, and a strong run for some of these drivers as Sherwood Jr. and others having a big scare, as well as Christopher Wade, big wiggle, and somehow they survive off the top of the hill.
Oh, big wiggle. He almost was able to not save that car, but he did a tremendous job being able to keep it under control as he's getting out here through the bus stop. We talk about it. It's only lap 3. We were mentioning about Benjamin Nelson. We know he's one of the favorites. He needs to just be able to settle down right now and get those spots back. He'll be able to do it with speed. Just going to be able to get the car back under him and settle in.
Still a long race. So many of your drivers said watch out for Nick Crawford, 74, up to 18th, now making up to 17th as a pass on Danny Cochran down in the second to last corner. Cochran's going to go extremely wide, trying to stay in the throttle, and it enables the 2 to stay almost to the quarter panel, not close enough as 74 takes that position. Nick Crawford already up 3 positions, and also for Crawford trying to follow Cedric Hunter in 13, who's also up 3 positions. We saw Hunter have the major mistake under qualifying. Where will Cedric's true speed be at as he's rolling around Olive Fonseca, Joshua Kanata, drivers that he used to run with on Monday nights, the ISRC Truck Series, and now on different teams. See how well they can work around one another here for these first handful of laps.
Yeah, right now they got that little bit of gap, which is perfect. Not being able to have to cook the car too much, being able to save the tires. We still have 15 laps before we might see some people start to commit to pitting. As we're seeing right here, Brian McCann and Kyle Heath battle for position. They got a nice little gap in between them, 2, 3, 4 car lengths. Something nice, this way you're not overdriving the car too much. You're really waiting for a driver in front of you to just maybe mess up a little bit so you can sneak underneath them, get around.
Trying every little bit. Kyle Heath, 31, moving forward, as well as some other drivers. John Forbes trying to make his advancement. 6th position currently is the 11 machine. And talk about drivers running that of holiday schemes. Here's the holiday scheme for the 11 machine is that of Brian P. Johnson, fastest lap for the 28 on lap 5. Crazy to see first driver, one of the first few drivers to crack into the 111s. There's a couple of others that also have done that. Kyle Heath is the other. John Forbes showing off one of his Christmas schemes. I think there's about 10 or 11 of them out there on track. Zach Hall is our leader, and also second place Christopher Norris. Other ones, as Christopher Norris closing in on Zach Hall, and he's been staying within touch. Zach Hall got that major lead in the first lap, but Norris has been creeping up and now staying stable about 3/10 back.
Yeah, we know if we see Rudolph there on the side of the car, we know Rudolph wants to lead this race. That's what Rudolph does for Santa. We saw 1.1 second lead. It's now down to under 4/10 of a second. We know Zach fired off fast. He obviously was fast with the qualifying speed. He fired off, he built up a 1.1 second lead, but it is now down to under 3, excuse me. Sam, what are you thinking? Do you think maybe fired off a little bit too much, heated the tires up, and now it's just going to have to cool it down a little bit, or do you think it's going to be able to maintain this gap?
I think for Christopher Norris, it's just maintain the gap, put on the pressure. These two, Zach Hall, Christopher Norris, if you watched on Tuesday nights for the Full Send Racing Series, it just had their hit the collusion. It was a great battle between Christopher Norris and Zach Hall at Spa. And now those drivers were at Spa in the Xfinity car, and certainly a different vehicle, it's a very different track. But for Zach Hall, he's hoping for maybe some redemption to hold back Christopher Norris, because it was a mistake by Hall with 3 laps to go of him overcooking his tires that gave away the win. And Norris is hoping for another major mistake to maybe put himself back in the fight. But honestly, I'm more so impressed. Our top 5 still within 2 seconds of one another, which means, excuse me, our top 6, that means they're all still in touching distance of trying to make some big moves to move forward in this race.
And that's something I really want to speak to the viewers about. That's so impressive, the top 6 being able to stay 2 seconds apart. You sometimes see in these races, 5 laps in, you might see the leader have a 2 or 3 second lead just over second place, and you're kind of starting to lose interest, and you're thinking, oh, well, he's going to walk away with it. Right now, we're seeing no one walk away with this. The top 6 is nose to tail, as you say. Even at one point, it was 1.9 seconds. I did see a car get off track back there, number 15 in there. It looks like number 4 and number 2 are off track too.
Yeah, major trouble actually. That is Mason Cassidy. He was upside down for the 4. He had to take a tow to pit road. The 2 of Danny Cochran also having major troubles. The 15 into pit road. And it's required damage for Mason Cassidy, Ken Campbell, both having to go into pit road. And here's what happened, as drivers were already wrecked at that moment of the 2 of Danny Cochran and Mason Cassidy. But man, what a scare for that field as they were going through the carousel. And you see a little bit of a slip up in front of the field. Mason Cassidy just rolling around, and Danny Cochran bounces off the wall, comes back in. Just a bad angle for these drivers.
It's just a terrible angle, and it just led to so many drivers getting caught up. And then we see the tow, even took the tow there to get to the pits, the 4. That could be multiple minutes of damage. That's going to be maybe 2, 3, 4 laps of damage for you there.
Here's more drivers that were coming into this incident. Cedric Hunter comes down into the final corner, and there's the contact. It's going to be Joshua Kanata into Ken Campbell. Hunter gives the nose-to-nose contact. Danny Cochran trying just to race around that group, but then gets loose off the exit. That's what happened to the 2. He just went too wide. Rumble strips bounced away, gets into his teammate Mason Cassidy, and oh no, then more contact of other drivers piling in of Dakota Moniz, just nowhere to go.
Yeah, and I noticed right at the end, I think the 2 gets going right here, and another driver's has. I think another driver did end up getting into him. I think it was a 92. I saw at one point, but multiple damage on drivers. We do want to bring it right back up here to lead, though. Nothing changed. Zach Hall still in first. Christopher Norris now under 0.3 of a second, though. He's got it down to 0.28.
I mean, it's down to now even the top 6 are closer than where they were before. It was a little bit over 2 seconds where John Forbes was. Now it's down to almost a second and a half. And now I'm curious on, is this a strategy call? We're 8 laps into this race. Drivers are already starting to feel a little bit of a drop off on their tires compared to how they started this race. But it could be a strategy call of how do you protect these tires until you can get to that zone you're looking for of 20 to 23 laps of when you're going to be hitting pit road. Zach Hall, though, leads the way. Got the pole, kind of a shocker of stealing the pole away. If you looked at the practice times for Zach Hall, he was 5th on the board. But I don't think anyone expected him to take the pole, nor do I think himself thinking he was going to take the pole.
Yeah, he's got all the confidence in the world, though. When you lay down a lap as fast as he did, that builds that confidence, and he's hitting every mark perfectly. He's not getting off track. He's not getting shaken by anyone behind him, as he actually pulls away now over to 0.4. He also is just running very smooth. You see, he just gets over those corners. He's getting through his shifts, no problem. Getting through the carousel, right on the rumble strips. That's going to help get the car to turn a little bit. Maybe take some of the load off the tires, which potentially could be saving.
Try to save these tires the best that you can. 9 laps into the 9th race, and it's been a good one so far in the second to last corner. And hitting these marks, we saw Danny Cochran over the rumble strips, broke loose into the tire barrier that was to the left, and that's easily something that anyone can make that same mistake with. I mean, Justin, road course racing, not even just in this Gen 4 car, but all the cars, these rumble strips, very dangerous areas of the track that maybe sometimes you don't think about being the most dangerous area, as Brian B. Johnson, Cody Reed, side by side for the 28 in the 52.
Side by side here, going up through the S as we talk about how treacherous this could be. They're going to maintain this side by side, and it's going to allow the driver right behind him, number 11, to stay right there with him, John Forbes. Talked about having one of the fastest laps so far of this race. If he gets by these 2 cars, he's going to be right there, being able to run down 4th place and 3rd. And Ryan Kelly is up in 3rd, who we talked about early on lap 1, getting around Benjamin Nelson. So we do see a driver get off the course, though. We just talked about him. John Forbes does get off course there, Sam.
It was off course just slightly, but it looks like it wasn't enough to get what we call yield penalty. It's going to cut the course, and iRacing itself feels like, hey, you've got a little bit too much of an advantage. Let's give that time back, and that could be very crucial, losing a lot of time, over a second or more, backing off your pace. Drivers don't want to have that mistake happen for themselves, as you have the 20 machine, Johnny Brugg, as well as Isaiah Sutherland and Cedric Hunter. A great trio of battling action here out of the carousel. Isaiah Sutherland, one of the 3 drivers that have started the end of the line. Sutherland officially qualified very quickly up in 12th position, the 14, now making that slow push through the field, and you could say one of the funner nights or one of the tougher nights of having to pass all these drivers through traffic.
Yeah, it could be fun if the car is driving good, but once those tires wear off and it's not driving as fun and you just can't pull over and pass someone like you want, probably not the most fun. But what are you thinking, Sam? Isaiah Sutherland, he's probably going to I think he might pit a little bit earlier, get that fresh rubber, get that track position, and then worry about using his knowledge on these tracks to hold off those drivers, as he'll be on a couple older lap tires, but he will be able to run about 2 to 3 seconds faster on those new tires.
Yeah, I mean, there's pluses and minuses when you want to come into pit road sooner. When you come into pit sooner of the drivers, however you call it, an undercut. When you do an undercut, there are advantages of, yes, you've got that fresher rubber, you're running faster than everyone else, but the danger is that if you find yourself behind traffic, that advantage really gets negated. You don't have to utilize that advantage as much. But if you stay out slightly longer, allow everyone else to pit, you can find yourself a little bit of cleaner air to work with and utilize those tires a little bit better. So there's pluses and minuses. I think if you're Isaiah Sutherland, you might be aiming for that halfway zone. Again, it's all about how you've been using these tires. And I think it might be an audible call in the moment of where do you feel the most comfortable? Did the tires kind of lose too much grip too soon and you need to pit sooner? Or did you salvage enough to run better later on? As the field continues to race forward, you got the 19 machine of Tyler Dangler, who's going to be running back in 29th position. And Tyler Dangler, one of the drivers that showed up a little bit later. Nick Alves has been having troubles deeper in the field. He's had a couple of self-spins. The 44 back in 31st position. And some of these drivers talked about, Justin, just survive, stay on the track, and that's what the 44 is aiming for.
Yeah, he's doing what he needs to do. He's staying on track. We saw that bigger incident about 5-7 laps ago. He was able to gain some positions there and give himself a couple, about 7 positions over worrying about being in 35th, which is always nice. Any spots you can get is going to help you out in the points long term, and we know these points can come down to 1 or 2 positions at the end of the race. At the end of the season, especially after a long season like we're in store for.
Absolutely. One of our bigger movers of the night, Douglas Newbegin, up 10 positions. Behind him is Johnny Brugg, up 11. Those two are the only drivers to move up multiple positions, but Newbegin, a big slide for the 7. I know for Douglas, he was hoping tonight was going to be a good night. Felt like, hey, going to a road course where he feels a lot more comfortable, but you don't want to be in the grass too much. As the 7, I think he might want to be one of those few drivers that pits sooner than later.
Yeah, we saw him get on the grass right there. That might have been during its shifting point. I noticed before I was out there testing these cars, and just even getting on the upshift, it kind of just jerks the car. The cars have so much power. You think, like in some of these newer cars, you can just grab the gear and get into the next one, and it has the grip. These cars, when you just floor that throttle, it just wants to kind of jerk the car a little left and right. If you don't have the steering wheel exactly how you want it, it gets you a little off course, and that's what we saw happen there.
Little bit is trying to find that smoothness through the bus stop, and that's a very clean bus stop run for the 7 machine after really much looking out of control for that first half of this course. Now trying to find that smoothness as a little bit of counter steer through the carousel. It's where you're trying to find a lot of speed off the exit. You lose a lot of time if you're not able to maximize your run. Our braking zone in these last couple of corners is the 7, and where we saw him have a big wiggle, it looks like Douglas Newbegin, he's settled down, survived, and he'll take that as a positive for this 7 machine, as that's another lap in the books. 14 laps have been completed here out of 40. Thank you so much for joining with us here as the 3-time champ Larry Yingling trying to make his way forward. He's inside of the top 10, as well as seeing some other drivers. He's just outside of the top 10, excuse me, for that of Larry Yingling in 12th. He's got Nick Crawford right behind him, trying to make their runs forward. But for us here at Fast Broadcasting, we will step away for our first commercial break. of the night. It's been a joy to give you the coverage here at the Watkins Glen for the WSSR Roast of Gems Cup Series. You're watching the Running for Rudolph 98. As the drivers get themselves set up, we'll come back for pit stops right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You're watching the WSSR Roast of Gems Cup Series, race number 4 at Watkins Glen. It's the Running for Rudolph 98, and currently Zach Hall is running away with this thing. He's had Christopher Norris on his back bumper for the majority of the night, and this field is certainly trying to find themselves moving forward as quickly as they can. Do want to give a shout out to our amazing sponsors as you're watching the battling between Larry Yingling and Nick Crawford. An amazing shout out to our title sponsor being Roasted Gems Coffee. Roasted Gems Coffee brings you the finest coffee blends for you to start your day off right. So go get your coffee at Roasted Gems Coffee today and use the promo code WSSR for 5% off. And Trophy Smack. Go get your custom trophy, ring, belt, or more at Trophy Smack. If you're looking for maybe a white elephant gift, it's a little late for Christmas, but you might as well try to get your trophy for someone. Hey, you might as well go on and head over to trophysmack.com and remember to use the promo code WSSR Cup for 10% off on all purchases. Thank you so much to all of our amazing sponsors as well. For Christopher Norris, you gave me something to read out. Want to talk about talked about late Christmas gifts that you can get. Well, Christopher Norris's mom is having a deal currently for Serenity Escape scents. Go get your specialties in handcrafted, unique, whimsical car freshies, as well as wax melts with your small town shopping experience served with a smile. Go on over to, again, Serenity Scalp Scents, to go get yourself a great gift. And remember to use the promo code WSSR Cup for 10% off. That code is good until the 1st of January. Pit stop's underway, and it's right when it opens up. Justin, I don't think I was expecting this one.
Yeah, lap 18 here. We got Ryan Johnson coming in, going to be the first one of our top 10 to get in there, get those tires. Ryan Kelly also. This is going to be important right here, Sam. You want to see if you could gain a spot. You don't want to lose a position here. We know how hard it is to pass, especially once the field gets to spread out. So Ryan Kelly's going to be trying to hammer down out of there in that one of those top 5 pit stalls that he earned during qualifying.
I mean, it's a great pit stall to have, but is this too soon? You're really going to have to defend to protect those tires. We saw 5 laps in. There was about a 3 to 4 tenths drop off on pace as Ryan P. Johnson able to get by Ben Keeney. Kelly, though, I don't believe he was able to get by that 98. Going to be losing a little bit of time off the exit of the corner. A big slowdown for both of those, as now they're up to speed. And let's see that speed difference. Most of the field running about a 13.5-second time. The 28, he was one of the few that ran a 1:11 lap time, one of the fastest laps put down here this evening. And now Brian B. Johnson through the bus stop. This is a very dangerous zone. If you're not careful, you can carry a lot more speed with that extra grip. And the 28 bounces it to the outside.
Yeah, extra grip. Cold tires, though, like we did mention, we don't want to be risking potentially sliding with these cooler tires. But you did mention, Sam, coming out of the pits, traffic, getting behind cars, you have the fresh rubber, but if you can't have the clear track like you did when you were running in the top 5 or 6, you're going to lose that little bit of time that you could have gained, and you might be negating by pitting early. And you might not gain back all that time by the time these other leaders go out there into clean traffic, as we see another car getting ready to roll off into the pits.
Also, a lot of drivers up front going to be coming into pit road. Benjamin Nelson, Cody Reed, as well as Edward Sherwood Jr. going to be getting some service done, pulling out of pit road. Zach Hall, Christopher Norris, one of the few top 6 that were originally our top 6, staying out on track. And for Christopher Norris, a big mistake for the 38. He's given up over a second of time over Zach Hall, and Hall just seems to be running such a different pace of consistency. And it looks like it's go time. Pit stop for the 32 as well for the 38 machine.
And they're both going to come in together, which is a big benefit to our leader, Zach Hall. I think him coming in with Christopher Norris, this isn't going to allow Christopher Norris to undercut and potentially get the lead and then maybe hold him off by being able to throw some dirty air on the car. They're going to both come into pits. Assuming that pit stops go smooth, they should come out with the same distance between them, but we never know. If you slide through the box, it could lead to an issue. As we see Zach Hall peeling off right now, looks like it's a great entry, Sam.
Great entry, and also this pit entry so different from others. You have to pull in onto the right side. That awkward feeling for the drivers when you're trying to make those different pit stop entries compared to what you're used to. It could be a struggle for some. Instead of going to the left for your wear boxes, to the right, some feels natural. Others can find yourself with a mistake. Edward Sherwood Jr. talked about the 71 coming to pit road just a few laps ago. Internal damage, 71 has to go into pit road. Required damage for Edward Sherwood Jr. You hate to see that for a driver that was looking like he was going to aim for a top 10 finish.
Yeah, that's something you never want to see. That's going to put them multiple laps down. It's going to benefit people in the back, though, who have stayed on course throughout the night. They're going to be able to capitalize on this unfortunate incident for the 71.
Well, for all the drivers that have pitted early, Zach Hall going to be the first driver ahead of everyone that's already made their pit stop. Christopher Norris going to be back in 6th place as he's trying to catch up. There's more drivers making their pit entries and exits as the 45 back out on track. As we're seeing Adam Nicholas Caressel making his way through the S's, getting fresh rubber. And I think drivers also might not have remembered how slippery that these tires can be, especially when you just get new rubber and then you tackle into the S's.
Yeah, that's a great point here we can emphasize to the viewers. We've been running now 20 laps. You get into such a rhythm on these. As we see the 45 get super loose, he's almost and is not able to save it. He's going to slide. Going to get the car going back here, though, Sam. Nicholas Corselli able to keep everything going back on track. But as I was saying, you get in that rhythm, Sam. You're hitting your points, you're shifting, you're braking. All of a sudden, you put these brand new tires on, you're able to go further into the corner. If you don't have that muscle memory down perfect, you might end up underdriving a corner, overdriving a corner, leading to you getting off track.
Yeah, you are not wanting to have those mistakes tackled. And a driver surprisingly out of this race was caught up in an incident earlier on. Danny Cochran calling it a night for the 2 machine as he found himself in trouble as he was going through his laps. And just doesn't feel like there was enough left in the 2's tank. Had too many incidences and decided, you know what, we're just going to call it a night for Danny Cochran. Edward Sherwood Jr. also decided to come into pit road and call it an evening, joining the likes of Johnny Brugg, Kevin Brock, and Mason Cassidy. Still was in pit road getting service done, but back out on track, Ken Campbell, Nick Alves, and Ben Keeney still out there on course. You know, they've dealt with a lot of their issues. They might be able to jump a couple of positions because of the 2 and 71 calling it a night. And that's survival with mental fortitude, continue to fight even when your car's not feeling right. Been involved in a couple of wrecks It can gain you a couple of positions. It can be so crucial later on in the season when they're trying to make the playoffs. As 79, Benjamin Nelson, hoping to get his Christmas waifu up there moving forward as he's entering into the bus stop right on the back bumper of Cody Reed.
Yeah, under that heavy braking point that we talked about, just getting through there nice and perfect on this corner on the exit, getting ready to go through the carousel. Do want to mention Larry Yingling not pitting yet, but Zach Hall only 6.8 seconds back, so we see how fast those fresh tires come. But we have to give a huge shout out to Zach Hall. He gapped Chris Norris by about 3 seconds on that pit stop exchange.
Also, got to give huge kudos to John Forbes, who's continued to keep it pretty close with Christopher Norris, who continues to slip up. There are some drivers that have done a great job rebounding after some slip-ups. We talked about John Forbes having some trouble through the bus stop a couple of times. Well, now the 11 right behind Christopher Norris. He was trying to go in for a pass, went a little bit wide on the second to last corner, but this 11th machine still has some pretty good speed, even though he pitted a lap earlier than Norris and Hall. And I think that's the big advantage you can give Zach Hall and Christopher Norris. That one lap advantage could be so crucial, especially when we get later on in this race.
Yeah, that one lap advantage, that the track should be rubbered up enough that one lap hopefully won't be too much for him. 2, 3, 4 laps, some of those guys have been a little early. That could be a little bit of a difference, but we see the 11 hanging strong as he gets through the grass even a little bit there. But he's carrying all the speed he needs to. He's doing he's gaining on the 38, Sam. He had it down under a second. It looks like it's maybe half a tenth now as we're getting down here on the second back straightaway.
Once you hit that center of the corner, you're the closest you're going to be. Off the exit of the carousel, it's all about, did you keep your foot in the throttle? Were you able to keep your good momentum? If you weren't able to, lose time heading to the second to last corner. And also, these corners you can overshoot so quickly. These smaller brakes, the braking zones these drivers work with is so small that if you overcook it by just a foot or more, you're missing the corner by a mile once you're finally into the center of the corner.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's exactly like we were mentioning before, just on being on new tires, you're gaining more speed through the corners. All of a sudden you're going 15 miles an hour faster into the next corner, and you brake a little later, and all of a sudden you're off track. And it's something these drivers are dealing with really well, though. We're not seeing the cars off track like maybe we thought we would. But we do see one car who has not yet to come off track, that Larry Yingling, getting out there leading those laps. Zach Hall's got it down under 4 seconds now.
I mean, Zach Hall is closing in very quickly. Larry continues to stay out, and I don't know where Larry is finding this will to continue to stay out. It's actually hurting the 67 by staying out this long. I don't know if he's going to be able to make up this time, but we were given a number that drivers can go around 25 laps on fuel. If they really were trying to stretch it out, maybe push it out to 26 laps. But it looks like Larry Yingling, he's made it as far as he would like in pit road for the 67, at least getting a lap led and getting that bonus point that maybe was highly unlikely if Larry had pitted around that zone that everyone else was.
And getting that bonus point is always very important, especially at a track like here where there might not be as many leaders as we're used to seeing at some of the other tracks. So getting that extra point can come down. It could be really important later on in the season. One thing we'll have to keep an eye on and see is where he'll come out. He might come out around maybe 12th to 13th position, assuming he's in pits for about 14 seconds for tires and maybe about another 10 seconds going down pit road. Should put him somewhere about 25 into that 30 range, Sam?
Yeah, it's going to be... Yeah, I think it's around that 25. I think it's going to be around 22. It's going to be around, so...
Yeah, we're seeing him exit already.
Yeah. I guess he was able to hold off. I mean, the rest of the field, I think, also you got to think, the rest of the field behind him, they've had their own major mistakes costing a lot of time. And 16, it's going to be where we're expecting maybe he was going to fall back to, but Larry Yingling holds back for 14th instead.
Yeah, we'll have to make a note of his strategy. I believe he's running about 11th, 12th, 13th prior to the pit stops where he started gaining some of those positions. So he's able to get if he is able to get a top 10, well, that strategy could pay off. He does have a good 5 to 6 lap better tires on majority of the people here in front of him. So we're going to see right now how he's able to run down cars.
It's going to be a lot of hard work. There's a lot of time that C7 has to make up. With just 15 laps to go, hey, it could work out for Larry Yingling here, who's one of the few drivers that isn't in a complete save mode for his tires to take it to the end. As everyone else, Zach Hall comfortably up to 3 seconds over Christopher Norris. Still for Christopher Norris dealing with pressure of John Forbes, and This 38 machine having a good season so far of just trying to stay out of trouble, showing great speed. The finish is maybe not there as Norris would like, but you'll take the speed in knowing, hey, I just have to find some consistency. I'll find myself maybe with another opportunity to go fight to into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's all you need to do is just keep fighting, never give up, have that mentality, and the stars are going to align for you. It looks like right now tonight he's having a great run here. Even if he's not able to hold off the 11 of John Forbes, it's still going to be a nice top 3 finish potentially. One of these things, Sam, 15 laps to go, the mental error, we still have easily over 100 turns to still do with all the laps left. You don't want to get off course. He sees the pressure right now from Forbes. He's probably watching in his mirror. I know sometimes when I would be out there, I'd be looking in the mirror and all of a sudden I miss maybe a braking point. You get off course, you get that penalty we talked about, or worse, you get the damage, and all of a sudden your night maybe ends up in the 20th.
Yeah, for me, I was always so scared when I saw someone heavily in my mirror. I would just get out of the way and then just follow them, and hopefully I could learn something, following someone that's faster than me. I'm proud of my back bumper, but these guys, they put in all the time and effort. They know where their speed's at, and for John Forbes, Christopher Norris, former teammates back in the ISRC Truck Series days on Monday nights. Now, a little bit of enemies and a great battle. What a move by John Forbes, sticking it to the inside, down into the carousel, and the exit of the bus stop. That was probably the best exit we've seen all night long, and it's going to be rewarded with John Forbes moving up to second.
Yeah, if you look up pass in a dictionary, that would be the textbook definition of it. That was great. We saw him the lap before. We saw him potentially sneak his nose in there. It looked like he was testing the waters, and then the next lap he went for it, and he did what he needed to do, and he's going to take the position, and now we're going to have to watch this, Sam. 3.6 seconds. We're going to have to keep an eye on it, see if he's able to get it down there.
Trying to make the march forward, but the ultimate recovery run, you can give it to Ben Nelson. Who at one moment inside of our top 3, then fell all the way back to almost 14th position, back inside of the top 5, and Nelson is trying his best to continue to march his way forward. But 5th place, I think you'll take that if you're the 79 after the way that this race started.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what would have happened if he didn't have that issue in the beginning of the race. Would he be right up there challenging Zach Hall and John Forbes? I think he might be, Sam, because he's only 7 seconds back, and that penalty, it dropped him, I think, at the time. I think he dropped out of the top 10. So he's made the recovery back. He's gained the time back. He's running smooth laps. I don't know if he's going to be able to get back to the top 3, but we're going to find out here as we're under 13 to go.
In by the 41 machine of Michael Bennett, part of the team that's kind of running part-time at Racing Revolutions. Other teammate of Michael Bennett is going to be Trevor Earhart, who Earhart, one of the biggest movers so far here tonight, going to be back in 21st position. Started back in 34th, and now up 13 spots for this Lime Bright machine. Trevor, when he picked this scheme, said he wanted to be the easiest thing to be pointed out. Certainly is with this bright color when you see the field all together.
Yeah, I always like having those nice bright colors. I know some of my fans that would watch would love being able to see it easier in the pack, but one thing that's great having that color right now on a road course is drivers see you out of their front a lot easier, so hopefully it keeps them from running into you if there's any issues, and we know how easily you would have to be slowing down on these blinding corners, so yeah, any little bit helps, every trick of the trade.
There's other drivers that are running well. I know it's been an awkward couple of weeks for myself. There's drivers I love to point out, say, hey, they're actually having a good race, but then the commentator's curses came out and rung out for some of them. Can't do it to Danny Cochran. He's already out of the race, but there's a few others that I would love to touch on, but I don't want to curse them again. Give them a break for a week at least. Other drivers have been having some pretty good runs of recovery from where they started. Well, Nick Crawford in 11th place, up 9 positions, and as well Douglas Newbigin up 9 positions. As see here running in 17th, it's Brandon Colley currently being ran by Douglas Newbigin, who's trying to advance forward and crack into the double digits of positions gained for qualifying spots. As the 7 and the 1 into the bus stop. Watch out, here we go, as they're all running right on top of one another.
The 7 got in there nice and hot. We say he had to check up a spec there to keep from running into the 1. We mentioned about 7 moving up, Douglas Newbigin moving up a lot of positions. He did that last race also, Sam. He was driving from the back multiple times throughout that race. It was very entertaining to watch. Right there through that bus stop, that was fabulous driving. It's a little bit spread out now, but that was some great machine.
It certainly is. Still in 17th, going to keep on defending that spot. Also, we move up position ahead in 16th position. We find the 14 of Isaiah Sutherland. Those few drivers that start out with a penalty here tonight. The other ones being Brian Noel, who's up to 19th spot, and also seeing other drivers that had to make their way forward. The 6 of Brad Delphin, 27, starting in last place with an EOL penalty, but Isaiah Sutherland up to 16th. Great job for himself, and there's still a couple of drivers that are in the target. This 14 could take positions away from him.
Yeah, that would be a great night for him if he's able to get those positions back. We know he had a start in the back of the field. It's one of those other drivers like we talked about with Benjamin Nelson. If he didn't have that earlier issue, if the 14 didn't have to start in the back, would he be up there riding in the top 5? I believe he would be. He's shown the speed. He's been able to navigate through all these drivers. One thing I did want to note, I saw at one point John Forbes had it down to 3.2 seconds. We do see the time. It moves a lot, Sam, because of the different braking points and drivers being at different spots. But the lowest I saw so far was 3.2. So maybe a little bit there for John Forbes, slowly gaining in.
He's trying to gain in. Last couple of laps, it's been Zach Hall just a few hundredths faster than the 11 machine and hoping to survive. Well, with 10 laps to go, we will step away for our final commercial break of the evening. Here's where your top 5 are running right now. You've got Zach Hall in first, John Forbes second, Christopher Norris third, fourth is Brian B. Johnson, and Brian Nelson. As you're watching the Running for Rudolph 98-year Watkins Glen, thanks for joining with us. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, this is Benjamin Nelson, your Season 7 WSSR Cup champion. I'd like to give a thanks to Roasted Jim's Coffee, Trophy Smack, all the admins at WSSR, Snowy Desert Racing, everybody that tunes in to the Freaky Fast broadcast every week, including my family and friends, co-workers as well. And I am so honored to be able to hoist this beautiful trophy. I've never been more proud to be a champion.
They're 5 wide behind for fifth. Oh my, they're 5 wide here. This ain't gonna work. They make it last. Bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here. Coming off a 4. Look at him. That's it.
It's bottom line. Here it comes.
Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's going to be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another.
Opportunity to drive it down low. Drifting up. Trying to be the stealer. Here he comes. Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it. But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked.
They wrecked each other. The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. As Season 8, it's been a good one so far. We're underway with Race 4 for the run-in for Rudolph 98 at Watkins Glen, and Zach Hall's been running away with this victory. It looks like over 5 seconds ahead, and the reason why, it's a 3-horse battle for second place. Christopher Norris, John Forbes, Brian P. Johnson all atop one another, and let's make it a 4-horse race because Benjamin Nelson, he's not done with it. He's now closed in on the gap. Norris and John Forbes, it got a little bit too racy, and now it's adding the mix of the top dogs getting back into it. The Season 1 champ, Brian P. Johnson, advancing forward. They'll be side by side into the bus stop as John Forbes and Johnson just make it through on the entry and the exit. Give the advantage to the 11. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Justin Malarkey. And Justin, I don't think the drama's done just yet, but Christopher Norris, he'll happily giddy up away.
And drama not done at all. John Forbes doing everything he could through those corners to keep Brian Johnson behind him. Oh, it was great. You saw the tires even get off the course. You saw him get through the grass a little bit, kicking up some dirt, some dust, doing everything he can. And Benjamin Nelson's just loving his view as he get down here through the final corner, getting ready to come down here. The 5 laps to go. Look how close Benjamin Nelson gets to the exit of that corner.
5 laps to go, and still in striking distance is Benjamin Nelson. If we see John Forbes and Brian P. Johnson get a little bit more racy, if Norris makes a mistake, hey, all these positions are still wide open to be grabbed. The only one driver that's happy on how it's been kind of growing and blowing up, Zach Hall, continues to pull away. Now the gap's almost up to 7 seconds as the drivers continue to attack Cole moving forward, but Christopher Norris feeling comfortable in this second spot, but can he stay comfortable as John Forbes, as well as Brian P. Johnson, aggressively tackle into the bus stop, and they're right on that back bumper of the 38.
All 3 of them, you can throw a blanket over it. These 3 drivers are battling like it's the lead, but it's not because Zach Hall just keeps continuing to march on down the road. Up to 7.2 seconds now. We saw it was down into the low 3s. Now up to 7.4. Zach's just found the groove. He's going. He's checking out from this race. He doesn't want anyone to even be a part of finishing close to him tonight.
Zach Hall continues to try to fight forward. And now Christopher Norris gonna try to hold back John Forbes. I mean, it's been the bus stop. It's been out of the S's, onto the bus stop. It's been the fastest part for the 11 and the 28. They just need a clean exit at turn number 1. They're right on the back bumper, but could you be too close right here, Justin? 4 laps to go as they enter the S's.
Hey, you get right up here behind these bumpers, you might lose a little bit on the front. Maybe, maybe you start oversteering a little bit there, Sam. You come out of the corner, you don't want to get loose like we talked about, because we saw in practice and we saw in the warm-up, some of these drivers easily just getting on the corners too much and losing all that time, potentially spinning out. As Zach Hall continues to still lead, 7.5 seconds now. And we see the 11 get through there so good. He's been really good getting through those bus stops all night. Not able to make the move yet, but he's coming through this carousel right here, right underneath the back bumper of John Forbes, right underneath Chris Norris.
It was a little bit wide at John Forbes, but still putting the pressure, trying to make a mistake on the kid of Christopher Norris. And Norris at one moment thought maybe there was a chance to win tonight's race. Well, his battle is for second position and giving us the greatest show we could ask for. 4 laps to go for tonight's race. Soon to be 3 as Zach Hall really just coasting away. And now the battle's for third as Brian P. Johnson, he gave all the opportunities to John Forbes. Now he wants a chance for third place and a go for a shot for the 38. Not close enough. Forbes defends as they attempt once again through the S's. Just a handful of more attempts to go for some moves and some passes, and John Forbes a big slip up and slide on the start of the S's, and that gives Christopher Norris maybe just enough spacing here as they're closing in on some of the other competition ahead.
Give Norris all the spacing he wants, but that could potentially open a door here for Brian Johnson to get under him under this corner right here. He's not going to be able to make the move right then and there. We're going to see what happens coming out of the exit here at the bus stop as John Forbes just gets through there so good. That's been a strong point all night. going to be able to hold off to 28, no problem. The 28 is going to have to wait till the next heavy braking zone coming up here down in turn 10. As we see the 11 get a little, maybe potentially loose there. It might hurt some speed coming down here. We're going to see the 28 now lean to the left. He's showing his nose, poking it. He's going to get on the brakes a spec later. And the 11 is going to slide out, maybe give him some room here. They're going to still battle side by side coming into the final corner, Sam.
John Force goes extremely wide, but he keeps his foot in the throttle, keeping it side by side, almost contact off the exit of the final bend. As they go down the front stretch, it's Brian P. Johnson now with that lead position, the 28. Does he have any fight for Christopher Norris? 2 laps to go, 1.2 seconds back to second place. And Brian P. Johnson, as well as John Force, they got to play nice if they want to catch up to Norris and maybe steal away second and third as they start the run up through the S's. 2 laps to go for Zach Hall. Got a little bit of lap traffic to deal with, but it's friends that he's willing to communicate to get out of the way. Christopher Norris, on the other hand, he's got some lap traffic that he may or may not have to get by here by the end of this race. It's a calculated move. Do you try to make these passes on lap cars, or do you stay patient and let them run their own race?
Yeah, it's all going to be about timing like we talked about. You're hoping right now you can catch them coming down the straightaway. Hopefully they'll pull over, give you no problem. Sometimes it's hard catching them right in that corner. If they start braking early because they want to give you some space, maybe it messes up your entry, and before you know it, you're sliding off course. But Zach Hall, right now, he's on full self-drive. He's on cruise control. He's been all night showing us that he deserved the pole. He deserved to walk away with this race. He's going.
And we're not having to worry about a yellow flag all race long because we're at a road course. And now, officially, with the white flag in air, it's your Roasted Gems white flag for Zach Hall. All these drivers with their Christmas schemes, while the Grinch, he's enjoying the lead position as he marches his way up through the S's.
He's a mean one, but he's going to be a mean one tonight on the track. The Grinch, all the way, starting on first, leading all the laps. Coming down the back straightaway here. Under heavy braking, not going to push it too hard, just going to keep it nice and easy getting down here. Not even probably going to abuse the rumble strips, just get through down third gear, second gear. Really easy on the throttle here, no need to push. A 7.5 second lead. He worked so hard for that all night. Coming down here through the carousel, getting ready to set up to the final 2 corners for the one last time.
As he exits out of the carousel, Zach Hall, so many opportunities and chances that he thought he could have won last season. There's been chances of speed last week and the week prior. Last time this 32 was in victory lane was back in season 6. Went a full season winless, well end the drought. And now for the 32 with Zach Hall. He didn't steal Christmas, but he stole the show. The 32 with Zach Hall takes the pole and wins at the Running for Rudolph 98 here at Watkins Glen, being our 4th different winner of the season.
Christopher Norris going to end up second. John Forbes, we saw those battles all night. He's going to be able to walk away with 3rd position. And Brian Johnson going to end up 4th.
This field gave us a great show, a couple of big, massive wrecks. But ultimately, Zach Hall, it came down to qualifying. He was the 5th fastest when you looked at the practice speed. Maybe he didn't feel as confident with his other competitors, but he clutched up when it mattered, saw his other competition fail at qualifying, and that clean air was all that Zach Hall needed. Pulled away, had to defend a couple of times on Christopher Norris, but that was it. That was the only competition that Zach had to worry about. And I think that race at Spa on Tuesday nights for the Full Sun Racing Series might have been in the back of Zach Hall saying, I'm not giving up this one to the kid of this 32.
Yes, we see them out there celebrating with their teammates, friends, drivers throughout the races. What a great night. They're all congratulating him. He just put on a show. I mean, that first stint, we thought maybe some of the guys were going to get around him. We saw them run him down. He built up that early lead. Then they got it back down to under a half a second. But once that second pit stop, Sam, he just took off. He found a whole nother time zone out there. He was just gapping the field throughout the rest of the final 20 laps.
He really did. And staying out of trouble, a big factor. Try not to be involved with any wrecks. So crucial for this field. And Zach Hall, one of the few drivers that have 0 incidences, meaning he never went off track. He kept the car clean. The other driver was Larry Yingling, but ultimately Zach Hall kept it clean up front and finds himself in a victory lane. Congratulations to the Grinch machine as he gets to enjoy burning it down here tonight. We will step aside. Thank you so much for joining with us. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3, Zach Hall, Christopher Norris, John Forbes, on their thoughts here tonight. We're back in just a few moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the last post-race show of the year for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. The run-in for Rudolph, 98. We head to Victory Lane where we talked to Zach Hall and the Grinch Machine. Zach, I mean, first and foremost, how are you feeling? Because looking at practice, looking at before qualifying started, it didn't look like you had that winning pace. But man, where did it come from during qualifying and during the race?
I don't know, Sam. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I don't know where that came from. This is not my best track for road course wise, for sure. I feel like Sonoma and all the other, NASCAR tracks just suit me a lot better, man. But I mean, my heart rate is still pounding. It's gonna take me a couple minutes to get definitely back calm because, I mean, I just didn't expect it, man. I really didn't. I came in tonight, was like, all right, shoot for a top 5. Just try to do good for team points. I felt like Brian would be the better chance to, go run for a win. And when I qualified on pole, I was like, man, there's a shot here, I guess, and we'll see what we can do with it. I just didn't expect this personally. I mean, I'm just kind of still mind blown.
Zach, Justin up here. First, congratulations. So happy for you. I know that win means a lot to you. I can tell how excited you are. You have to walk me through without giving me away all your secrets, but you found so much speed in that second run. What was it? What did you do different? You gapped the field 7 seconds there on the second run versus the first run. It took you about the first 15 laps before you started pulling away there.
Yeah, the first run, to go back to that first, I personally was very surprised because lap 13, I think Christopher was all over me. Like I was kind of like, man, okay, he's got something, like, because I mean, I was definitely managing there. You got to in this car, first of all, with the tire temps and stuff, you have to manage every single lap. But he just seemed to have a little bit better drive off, and I was like, is he using his stuff? I couldn't really tell, and I think that's what the case was. He just started to use that little bit extra that is there, and once he started to build the temp up, he started to fall back. And the plan was always, even if it wasn't in the lead, to pit at lap 19 just to get that little bit of an undercut in, even though the tires didn't fall off actually too much, surprisingly, with this car, like we've seen at Sonoma. But yeah, I mean, that second run, I underfueled the car. I don't know if that had an effect. I was kind of worried it would have a bad effect when I came out the pits because I was like, this thing's just all over the place, really loose. And I think it was just me mind games going on. I'm a person that can beat myself very easily when it comes to racing out on the track. And luckily tonight I was able to keep calm and just keep hitting my marks while those guys were battling. I think behind me that allowed me to really pull that gap out.
Well, I mean, mind games, Zach. You talk about, yourself, Norris. We've seen this duel before here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on Tuesday nights. I know it's a different car, different track, but were those thoughts of I can't make that same mistake that I did at Sonoma ever pop up in your brain here tonight?
Yeah, after Sonoma or after Spa in full sin there on Tuesday nights, I really, and even in Sonoma, I kind of had the same mistake. Both those tracks, just wheel hopping and just being too aggressive on the downshift. So I think I kind of went back to the drawing board. We had a Roval race on Tuesday nights that I think I learned a few little key things that I was doing wrong that I fixed myself on, and it really seemed to help tonight because never had an issue where I was wheel hopping into the corner and never really had that feeling of, oh no, we got to let go of the brake or we're going to wreck this race car. So all night was able to just keep it pointed straight forward. I mean, I was really impressed with Norris. I got to give him a huge bit of credit because he was all over me there for a while. He could have probably took a few shots at me, dove it there, and made the race a little bit, more wild. But he really was waiting for his opportunity to actually get, the run and get side by side with me. So I got to give him a huge bunch of credit there for a young kid like that to, hold back with a lead right there sitting in front of him. I mean, these WSSR wins don't come easy. I mean, I don't even remember the last time I won a race personally here. So this one's definitely special, and I know that he was pushing hard for it too. So it's good the race clean, and I'm glad I was able to get it done tonight, man.
Well, Zach, you're wondering when your last win was? Well, it was back in April, back in season 6 was the last time you won at Talladega. It's been a long time coming, but congratulations on getting back into victory lane, your 7th career win. Enjoy this one, and before we let you go, your last shout-outs for 2023.
Yeah, last shout-outs for 2023, like you said, Sam. So first off, shout out to everybody who's watched all our races this season. We've had really good viewership. And we've had a great group of people coming out and chatting each and every night. So thank you to everybody who's watched these races throughout each and every week. And most importantly, have a happy holiday. This is the important time of the year to be with your family. And, that's definitely what I would like for everybody to be able to do. So everybody has hopefully a happy holiday. Shout out to my teammates Shane and Brian. Shane couldn't make it, and I think he actually forgot what time it was and kind of slipped up there and missed the race. But good job on Brian there. I think he was having a little bit of battles there at the end that took him out of a top 3 spot possibly, but still 4th for him. I think that should give us the team points for tonight. So Carolina Reapers should be taking that team championship lead. So that's great. So shout out to those guys. And then last but not least, shout out to you guys up in the booth for everything y'all do week in and week out. And also last shout out, I forgot this one, almost did. Thank you, Mrs. Norris, for sponsoring tonight's race. I'm glad I got to run the Grinch machine and get the Grinch out front and get that victory. But you make sure you go check out her website, serenitysense.com, and go check out what they got, because really cool to have her sponsor this race and do a Christmas theme race like we had tonight. So again, shout out to her, and thank you to everybody.
Well, that is going to be the 32 machine of Zach Hall coming away with the win here tonight. Congratulations, Zach. Enjoy this one. We'll see you in 2024.
Thank you, guys.
As we move from victory lane, we head down to second place, where we have ourselves a 38 machine of Christopher Norris, almost able to win tonight's race. Showed signs of a chance of victory, but will find himself in second position. Chris, I mean, what a run for yourself here this evening, coming away second place. What else did you need to do, or are you just thankful for second?
I'm thankful for second, man. I think I definitely could have probably gave Zach more of a chance, but for my health conditions, I think second's good enough for me.
Oh, Christopher Norris, is Justin up here. Congratulations on your second. There was some points in tonight where you looked like you maybe were going to get around them. And we know you're able to settle in there to second. Tell us about the battles you had with John Forbes behind you, because you guys were putting on a heck of a show. We enjoyed so much of it up here.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I was hoping I was doing it for Zach, and I hope I was doing it for John. Both of them, John Moore was definitely a hard battle. I would like to say that John probably got the easy way around, because I think it was due to a lap car. He was just able to slide it into the inside, and off he went. I tried to just let off and settle right behind him or go for an undercut. But that didn't work out too well, so just put on a lot of pressure behind him and just had to hold him off as much as possible. I think the move I made onto him to get by probably wasn't the cleanest, but I knew I had to just try to get by as soon as possible, because in my opinion, when it's time to go, it's time to go. But I will say his battle is probably more scary, because when I was racing Zach, actually, I don't know why, but my anxiety was high. I mean, I don't know if it's anxiety and heart rate's the same thing, but early in the race, racing Zach, which I hope was a good show for you guys, was around 148. But racing John, it was 168. So my heart was definitely racing a little bit. And after I got by John, settled in, I said to myself, I was like, man, I feel really awake right now. Well, I know the reason why.
Yeah, you certainly were at it here tonight, Norris. Congratulations on second. What was it like running here tonight, knowing that your mom sponsored this race? You had the sponsorship on the car. What was that pressure like coming into tonight?
Yeah, man, not a lot of pressure for my parents. Luckily, they enjoyed the race. My mom came in here and said congrats on second as well. Just hoping to finish as well as I can. Honestly, I think I had more pressure on the fact that I finished third at Sonoma last season, because I feel like if I finish in like the top 5, top 10 situation at one track, even though we get a few new drivers that could be road course demons, I still should perform in the top 5, top 10 if I finish that well in the last season. So definitely glad I was able to step one position higher than last season, and hopefully we can finish first place next season if that's the way it trends.
Seems like a good trend to look out for. Well, Norris, before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for your last shout-outs for 2023.
Of course, man. You guys, of course, for putting on an amazing show throughout 2023. It's been amazing to be a part of this league, a part of Freaky Fast, and able to watch how we've all been able to grow. This league, of course, for the amazing show they put on. The sponsor of the race and the sponsor of the card tonight, SerenityEscapes.com, for the running Rudolph 98. Go check them out for handmade wax melts and freshies. I'm sure Sam said it earlier, but check out SerenityEscapes.com. SerenityEscapesCents.com, sorry. Not thinking through. Also, customlids.com for custom hats. It's an amazing hat, great quality. Definitely recommend getting them. And also my teammates, Brian Bajon. Now, man, this is the long lead. Benjamin Nelson, Johnny Blood, unfortunately, he had to hop out. Glad he got some points tonight, though, and Nick Crawford for just sticking in there and grabbing some good finishes.
Well, that will be the 38 machine of Christopher Norris. Congratulations, Norris, on a second place finish. Enjoy this, and we'll see you in the new year.
Thank you.
Well, from second place, we go down to third. The driver that put on probably the most pressure you could ask for there late, made it hype and enjoyable for us up in the booth. We got John Forbes with us in the 11 machine. Third place finish for you, John, but man, did you look fast through the bus stop. How are you feeling after that performance in those final 10 laps?
Yeah, I feel pretty great about that run. Finally got inside, I think it's my first top 10 this season, so finally getting some momentum going the right direction. And yeah, I think just a lot of this experience carried over for this car from the college Xfinity race I did a couple weeks ago. So yeah, the cars felt pretty much the same in the long run. So I didn't have too much time to prepare for this race, so I wasn't too sure what to expect. But yeah, as the run went on, it just felt more and more in my wheelhouse there. Just keeping the car on the racetrack, not spin the tires too much. But yeah, those last 10 laps were really hard with the short pit I did, and everyone else had, I think, a lap or two better tires, so it was definitely hard to hang on.
Hey, John, it's Justin up here in the booth. First, congratulations on the third place finish. You drove an incredible race tonight. Watching you go through that bus stop, as Sam mentioned, it was just so fun. Just walk us through a little bit of the race, and then give me an idea about next. I know next week we're off, but going forward, any tracks coming up that you're looking to get back in there and potentially grab a win at?
Yeah, just going in, didn't have too much practice, as I said, but actually qualified a lot better than I thought I was. I think, yeah, I started 9th. But yeah, that's just, I got to work on that, getting better at qualifying, starting more up front, and probably could have maybe given Zach a run for his money, but yeah, looking forward at the schedule here. Definitely some new tracks coming up. I've never been to Kern County before. But then we go to a bunch of tracks. I have a good amount of experience, like 1.5 miles, like Las Vegas and Michigan. So yeah, definitely looking forward to some of the tracks coming up. Definitely want to try to get some wins here. I think we got one last season at Bristol. So yeah, and this being pretty much my main league now, just gonna have to start putting some more effort into it and just getting more prepared for each week.
I mean, John, with this being kind of your main league to focus on, what is it like running with this competition? 4 races into the season. Like I said, this is your first top 5 of the season for yourself. What is it like running with this high caliber of a league that we have here at WSSR?
Yeah, it's definitely a fun challenge. It kind of reminds me of almost running like the college series and stuff. Like everyone's just, they know what they're doing. And I'd say it's definitely a step up from the truck league as far as everything goes. And I think the car adds a lot to that. Just every track almost feels so much different, and you really have to know the character of the track and just how to navigate it. Whereas the truck, you can kind of just hop on, and most of the tracks are a draft fest, so you don't really have to carry over too much skill, and you kind of just have to develop more in these cars. Just put in a ton of time for practice, and yeah, just making sure you know your stuff going into each week. It just really helps. And yeah, just the skill level that these cars require and the drivers there in this league, it's really really makes you test what you're doing here on iRacing.
I mean, John, it was a pleasure to watch you run here tonight. You certainly made it fun for us to call there late. Congratulations on third. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs to finish out 2023.
Yeah, I got to thank all the friends and family watching all year long here on Freaky Fast. Got to thank my brother for making schemes all season as well. Got another great Christmas scheme out here tonight, so definitely some more great schemes to come. And I want to thank you guys for putting these on every week.
Hey, we enjoy the fact that you guys give us a great show to call each week. Congratulations, John, on a third place finish. Enjoy it, and we'll see you in the new year.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
You too. That's the 11 of John Forbes, third place finisher for himself. As tonight, 35 drivers took the track, and Zach Hall in that Grinch machine got himself into victory lane. It was an enjoyable night. We got to see the battling for the lead for the first half of the race, and then it turned into ultimate survival. We saw some flips. We saw some nasty wrecks. At the end of the day, it was the 32 getting into victory lane. As we take a look at our unofficial results for tonight's race for the Running for Rudolph 98, it's Zach Hall with the win. Christopher Norris going to get second. John Forbes in third. Brian P. Johnson coming away with fourth, but a surprising steal at the end. going to be Brian McCann finishing for 5th place. Benjamin Nelson falling back to 6th. Cody Reed in 7th. 8th goes Anthony Gaudio. Didn't talk much about that 29, but I think that's a good thing when you're on a road course, staying out of trouble. Ryan Kelly really falling off throughout the run, back to 9th place. Kyle Heath won in charge for that 31 machine.
Going finishing 11th. Nick Crawford, who was my pick earlier on in the race, so he was almost able to crack the top 10 there. 12th, Ollie Fonseca. Larry Yingling, 13th. Isaiah Sutherland coming from the back to 14th. Nice points night for him. Ross Tatum, 15th. Joshua Kanata, 16th. 17th, Brandon Colley. 18th, Brian Noel. 19th, Trevor Earhart. And 20th, Cedric Hunter.
Trevor Earhart going to be our highest mover of the night. Isaiah Sutherland, though, from where he qualified to where he finished, down 2 positions, but he did have to start at the end of the line, so he did make the most passes, was the 14. Great run all around for this field, but here's the back half that really struggled. Edward Sherwood Jr., David Cochran, and also Johnny Bruggs, Devin Brooks, Mason Cassidy. Their race didn't make the halfway, and it went downhill quickly, as they're going to have to hope that going into the new year, 2024, things turn around. As for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we take next week off as the holiday season is upon us. We've got Christmas, New Year's, and then we're back to racing coverage on the 3rd of January. Justin, it's been a pleasure to have you up at the booth with us to start out the season. 4 races in. I mean, man, it's been a fun one so far. Having Brian P. Johnson winning race number 1, Nick Crawford race 2, Shane Terrian last week, and tonight, Zach Hall. 4 different winners, 4 different races. I can't wait for the new year.
Yeah, 4 different winners, 4 different types of tracks, and we're going to be going January 3rd to Indy, which is going to be a different, unique track too. It's going to be high speeds, a little bit heavier braking too, not as much as we saw tonight, but it's going to be a flat track. Going to be very excited to get there. Can't wait. Got to unfortunately wait 2 weeks though.
Yeah, again, we're taking next week off, so we will not be having any racing coverage. But we also, once we come back, it's going to be, again, it's going to be January 3rd. We're going to have Indianapolis, but also on that same week when we come back to racing coverage for the WSSR, we also have our JDRF, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation charity event. Going to be January 6th, Saturday, 2 weeks away. If you haven't signed up, I know drivers are saying, hey, they're waiting to sign up late. But if you'd like to sign up, go on over to our community Discord channel where you can go sign up today to donate to then race, or just donate to help out a great cause for Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, a charity event. It's going to be our 3rd annual Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Our first year was 6 hours of Daytona. Then we had a Daytona 500. This year, we're going back to 6 hours of Daytona endurance racing, kind of a preview for drivers and get that practice in for those that are looking for some great practice. But certainly going to be a fun week when we come back to 2024. Justin, though, any final thoughts before we call it a close for 2023?
Yeah, I think if you were tuning in tonight, you saw a really, really, really good road course race. I mean, we had battles throughout the night everywhere. We talked about how some of these road courses might not be always the most fun to watch, but tonight we got a really good one. That proves the talent in this league. The drivers were staying so close, even through pit stops. They didn't really get spread out there until the final few laps, but even then, we saw battles for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Just keep it so interesting all night, Sam.
It certainly was. Well, we also have to call our final thank you to the sponsors here at WSSR as well, to Colley's mom, who's helped out with qualifying for these last couple of seasons and this season for being the qualifying sponsor, and as well to Roasted Gems Coffee. Roasted Gems Coffee, they've had great coffee for you to look at, as well as great merch line to check out for the holiday season. Remember to use the promo code WSSR for 5% off. And Trophy Smack, it's the holiday season, and why not get yourself a gift for the family? Instead of just getting yourself a regular picture frame, why not get yourself a metal plate to show off maybe some family gifts, a great family memory? Well, that's when you go over to trophysmack.com and grab your Wall Smack. Wall Smack today is a metal plate that you can either set up on a safe wall placing magnet system, or you can also get a stand to just set it up on a shelf or on a table wherever you would like to show off your Wall Smack. Go check it out today at trophysmack.com. Get your Wall Smack and use the promo code WSSR Cup for 10% off. Again, our GDRF charity event also To everyone else that's helped out this year, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Justin, for hopping in for season 8 of WSSR. To all the other commentators that have helped out this year, Trevor Earhart, Zach Hall. We've had also Brandon Colley at times, and also we've had Brian P. Johnson come in. Christopher Norris has hopped in. Also, the biggest shout out to our boss producer, always in the booth every single race, Robert Moyer Jr. Thank you to all those that have watched us throughout 2023. It has been a fantastic year of great racing. In 2024, we're expecting even more. Thank you so much for joining with us here for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. Your race number 4 winner goes to that 32 of Zach Hall. But for myself, Sam Dyer, for Justin Malarkey, as well for Robert Moyer Jr. and everyone here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We'll see you in 2024.